advantage of not having the police be there all the time is we need the police to do other things. As I've said, I think we have a shortage of police presence in this community, and I'd like to see them out there doing the frontline public safety policing work for which they are trained and for which they are the best equipped to be able to address. Finally, I want to just mention addiction services. The city typically doesn't get involved in things like addiction services and mental health. But I've decided I'm going to take that upon myself, and my colleagues on the city council have decided to take a higher profile around addiction services and mental health issues because we're seeing more of it on our streets. And I was very proud, Joanne, and others, that the city council this year agreed to put funding into addiction treatment services directly. That was a first for the city of Portland, and you are going to see me talking more about the need for on-demand addiction treatment in our community, and you're going to hear more from me about the need for us to work with our county and our state partners to fix the mental health delivery system in the state. For too long, we have been near the bottom of states in terms of access to mental health services. We're the fourth in terms of addiction nationally, which means Oregon has very high rates of addiction, but we're about 47th to 50th, depending upon which score you look at, in terms of actual access to addiction treatment in our community. And that's certainly exacerbating some of the issues we see on the street. I, as mayor, cannot just push that off and say it's the county's responsibility or the state's responsibility or anybody else's responsibility. If we're going to solve these problems, then it is incumbent upon me and my colleagues to reach out and provide the leadership that needs to be provided in those two areas. Last but not least, I just want to say this. I made a commitment to you when I came here as a newly elected mayor. And I told you that it was important to me and that I would not see myself as successful in this role as mayor until the people in this community felt safe, until the people in this community felt like their neighborhoods and their community was livable, and that they would not feel satisfied until their community lived up to the reputation that it has as being a livable and clean and prosperous community. It's a work in progress. We're not there yet. If we were, nobody would be here tonight. But I want to re-up the commitment I made to you then and tell you that I approach this commitment with more optimism and more energy than I ever had. I'm here to hear you. I appreciate your being here tonight, and I thank you for the opportunity to serve as your mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The Chief Outlaw, would you like to go next?
Stand up, or we?
You can stand up.
I've just been sitting all day, so I won't.
If you don't mind, I'm going to be brief because I really do want to reserve the majority of the time until I was to hear from you. One, I want to re-emphasize appreciation for you all being here tonight. Yes, this is our jobs, but you guys came here on your own time in the evening, and I'm quite sure it's been a long day, it's been tiring, but you're here because you care. And to be curious means that you care. It's clear that you're curious about what's going on in your communities, and without your care and concern, which ultimately holds us accountable, we don't have the partnerships that we need with our local communities in order to move any strategy ahead. So again, I want to say thank you. I want to acknowledge not just that we have leadership here, up here on the stage or the dais, but if you look around, all of the people that are lined up on these back walls are the people that are actually doing the work that we're talking about. And I think it's important for all of us to be in this room to hear directly from you without the filters from us what needs to take place, what the genuine concerns are, and how it makes you feel. Because with that face-to-face interaction and hearing from you directly, it not only motivates us to continue forward, but it reminds us that there are human beings at the other end being impacted by what we're talking about tonight. So I want to thank all of you for being here. I also want to thank our PPB personnel and all of the other city staff for being here as well, because this shows a true effort in working towards a comprehensive strategy towards resolving the issues we're talking about, but making sure that community safety is our priority. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And now we turn it over to Lieutenant Jeremy Price from East Precinct for an East Precinct update.
All right, good evening, everybody. So I just wrote down a few things that we've been doing in the precinct to try to help address or reduce crime in East Precinct. And I want to start off by just kind of explaining the boundaries of what we have. East Precinct is 36 square miles. The population is approximately 225,000. And we have 124 dedicated officers to service all the calls for service in that area. And I'll tell you, I started my career at East Precinct 18 years ago, and it's great to be back. And the commander and captain that we have at the precinct are fully involved in trying to reduce crime and be present for the community that we serve. Some of the things that we've been doing, quarter three, our objective was to focus on retail theft and the crimes associated with that. And we try to do that without limiting our response times for calls for service, so we use our officers that are our neighborhood response team and our street crimes unit. Some of the things that we did in the last quarter, we made 230 arrests related to areas of like Eastport Plaza, the Walmart area, Mall 205, the Home Depot there, and the Gateway Plaza. And then kind of what spun off from that is obviously things that people are stealing items for, is to trade for drugs and things like that. We've recovered 15 pounds of narcotics, that being methamphetamine and heroin. Along with that, we recovered 15 firearms, mostly related to those drug arrests. We actually just recovered another 7 firearms this morning from a search warrant that we did. And then we seized over $30,000 related to those drug offenses. Going forward into quarter four, and I think there'll be a lot of questions surrounding this, is the spike in gun violence that we've seen. East Precinct alone experienced a 22% increase in shots fired calls. Doesn't necessarily mean those are all gun violence. They could be anything from fireworks, something that somebody hears that they think is a gunshot, and we respond to. And our focus is going to be on reducing those shots fired calls, increasing our presence in the neighborhoods and the visibility that we have out there, and be more present in neighborhoods experiencing gun violence. So that is going to be our focus going into quarter four. Like I said, we have some of the most dedicated officers that are proud to serve East Portland. Most of them have been out here for as long as I've been with the Bureau. We have a lot of new faces. But with the limited numbers that we have, we're going to focus on what we can in this quarter and continue to try to provide the best service that we possibly can.
Autumn West here. Autumn, Lent's neighbor, graciously reached out to us in July and shared concerns about shootings and homicides that happened in East Portland. And that was part of the reason why we wanted to be here together with you tonight. So this evening, we have Commander Art Nakamura, who is overarching, has the responsibility of the Police Bureau's Gun Violence Reduction Team. And we also have Commander Jeff Bell from the Homicide, from the Detective Division, who can talk a little bit to homicides this evening. So with that, I'll turn it over to Art.
So first of all, I see you and I hear you. Just want to write that. That's why we're here. I had this whole script written out, but I'm going to go way off script. People are getting shot, families are getting torn apart, people are dying in the streets due to gun violence. And my colleagues, Sergeant Candulio, Will Vaughn, Courier, the wall right there, outreach, are some of the most passionate. Officer Huber, find us after, talk to us, inquire, push us to do our job. We are some of the most passionate people in this room trying to prevent gun violence. So I had this whole script of what I wanted to say, but I want to just throw this away. Gun Violence Reduction Team. Our number one goal is to reduce gun violence in the city by outreach, prevention, and intervention. When the police gets involved, that means the prevention and intervention has failed. Somebody has been shot, there's been a shooting, the police come. We We love our jobs, but we don't want to do our jobs. We don't want to go to shootings. We don't want to see families torn apart. We don't want to see gunshot victims. And same for the perpetrators who do these crimes. Now their family is torn apart and it's horrendous. And I've been a police officer for 27 years. I've seen kids grow up who are now going to do the rest of their life in prison, and it just tears me apart. So I won't get to everything in here. If you want to talk one-on-one, find us. The back wall right there. We love talking. We love getting involved. We're passionate about this. So again, I just love people coming out to get involved in the community. We don't see this much, and by you folks being here, it shows that you're committed and you guys want to stop the violence. So our team motto is about outreach, education, community engagement. What this is, proactive prevention, intervention, and the last leg is investigative response and holding people accountable. Like I said, it's a three-pronged approach. The police, we are specialists in making arrests, investigations, and holding people accountable. But realize that it's just not that. We're not going to arrest our way out of this gun problem. We need the prevention, the intervention. I won't say it's lacking, but we need more of it. Because again, once the violence occurs, we can't turn back time. The shooting has already occurred, the impact has already occurred. We don't want to be there. So, like I said, I'm going to go totally off script. So how GVERT works is, we used to be called the Gang Enforcement Team, where we focus on gang crimes. It could be drug trafficking, prostitution, shootings, gambling, you name it. Was a gang involved with the investigation. 2018, we changed it. Recognize that gun violence in the city is our #1 problem for us. So now, what GVERT does, when there's a call from the community, they call 911 since the shooting occurred. Jeremy's team, Uniform Patrol, they go out to do the initial investigation. Once they determine a shooting has occurred, our team, GVERT, goes out and begins the investigation. We do the triage, depending if it's a homicide, we refer those cases to homicide, robbery goes to cases, domestic violence, there's experts in domestic violence and doing the outreach for that part, so we give those cases to them. We get everything else. And investigating these are tremendously difficult. A lot of times the victims do not want to cooperate. It could be based on community trust, or retaliation, or what have you. So a lot of times outreach will be the voice for the victims. They don't want to cooperate because they know that, it looks bad to cooperate with the police. So I've been told, and the investigators have been told a number of times, go do your job. Go do your job. You know who shot me, go do your job. So that's what we gotta do. What else I got in here? So I know I'm here more to listen. I can go on all day about what we do and how we do it, policies, procedures, but we're a learning organization. Part of the reason why we're here, we want to hear your voice, we want to learn how to do our jobs better. We realize that we do a lot of things good, we do some things bad. So we're here to learn. If you don't want to throw a formal question to us, find us after, get us one-on-one. I'll get my cards, anybody's here and want to do off-cuff talks, I'm more than happy. One of the most interesting things I found, I do a lot of reading about gun violence. Again, I'm passionate about this. So I'll read this, it hit home. Gun violence is not only a crime problem, it's a public health problem, economic problem, and a social problem. All of these perspectives must be taken into account to find solutions. Strategies and programs targeting gun violence must encompass enforcement and prosecution, which is us, violence prevention and education, and community engagement initiative, what this is. And that's from our friends over at PERF in DC who do these in-depth studies into gun violence. So a couple of things we've changed is we're using a lot more data and technology to do investigations. Every shell casing that's found on the street, every gun that's recovered goes straight to our office where we process them to look for evidence. We track the guns, track the bullets. I think this year, correct me if I'm wrong, we've collected and processed over 2,000 casings on the street. That means over 2,000 casings or 2,000 rounds have been shot. doesn't include revolvers and certain firearms, but over 2,000 gunshots, and that's when it was reported. A lot of times, I know for a fact, people don't call 911, they think somebody else will call. So I encourage you to hear gunshots, please call us. I can go on and on, but respecting everybody's time.
Commander, for the sake of time, yeah, as we move to the question and answer phase, I want to give thank you very much for
So
Commander
again,
Knuckleberg.
we're very passionate, find us after, I love talking.
Just a quick word from Homicide, and then we're going to move to the question and answer.
So again, Jeff Bell, Commander of the Detective Division, and I really appreciate being invited out here tonight. One of the concerns, obviously, with gun violence is kind of the ultimate